Hello everyone, my name is Tavishi and today I'm here with another conversation with none other than Advocate Rahul Tiwari. He is a renowned advocate practicing at the Gurgaon District Court and at Delhi High Court. Apart from this, he's also a researcher. He has done pretty good research in the field of criminal advocacy and today he's here with us to talk to us to clear some of our doubts regarding legal field. So let's begin. Welcome Advocate Tiwari.
Hello, ma'am.
So, Advocate Tiwari, first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself and about your educational background to our audience.
I completed my law from Pune, and after that, I completed my master's from Gurgaon, from my place of residence, and area of specialization was cyber law. And in this process, I mean, before joining my LLM, just after my law school, I had worked in Supreme Court in a landmark case, which was the Babri Masjid demolition case, or you can say the Ram Janambhoomi case, as a research assistant, and I assisted an advocate on record, M.R. Samshad, for good 3 months. And I feel lucky that I was part to get in touch and get the first hand experience about I would say the case of India, the case which has a history of more than 100 years. So I read all those files, I went through it, and I did the editing part, and then reading the Archaeological Survey of India report. And then it was followed by my practice, because I started the approach of bottom to top, like starting from the district court, then high court, and then Supreme Court, because it's very important that if you really want to do well, you have to first understand how the cases made are in the courts. So that's why I thought that yes, I should start with the trial court, and that's how I started. I left the Supreme Court, and then I came back to my from Delhi, and because Delhi and Gurgaon, they are very, they're next to each other actually. So and then I started working in Gurgaon, and then the main focus shifted towards the LLM and writing research papers. As of now, I have presented 25 research papers. I have got 7 publications, and then apart from this, after my LLM, I started teaching also. I utilized this lockdown period pretty well, I guess, that I made close to 16,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I launched a few certificate courses so that I can teach them the practical aspect of the drafting and the criminal law. So as of now, yes, I have taught. I've spoken as a guest speaker in 27 webinars, close to 27 webinars. I've participated and I've spoken on 6 different workshops, all online. And as of now, I have taught more than 1,000 students, and it's the current batch will, and I divided my time like Monday to Friday, my practice and my judicial service preparation, and Saturday Sunday, I mean Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it will be the weekend is reserved for my webinars and for my teaching. So that is how as of now it's going. And I guess in last 2 years, I think things have gone in my way. And more than this, I would say that yes, I have been working hard on this part every day and night. And more than that, I feel that the God has been kind on me, and especially and especially more than my hard work, it was my parents, zeal and enthusiasm that yes, no, my son will do well in this field, and look at promoting my videos everywhere that my son is an advocate. So yes, as of now, I will not say that I'm successful, which I would again, I would say I would disagree with the word which you used, that renowned advocate. No, a bit popular, yes. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing, Advocate Tiwari. Indeed, very humble of you. So I see that you're quite interested in research as well, in academic research. So why did you decide to become an advocate and go into litigation?
well, in India, when you ask this question, because right now I'm also teaching, I'm also a part of, because its batch is yet to start. The coaching is so legal, where I'll be teaching general knowledge and constitutional law and criminal law and general law, these 3 subjects for the CLAT students. The CLAT is an exams, which is conducted for, it's a law entrance exams for the top national law universities in India. So the thing was that I just encountered something which I related way back, I would say like 8 to 10 years ago, that that the market of law is a bit dicey, because now we study the market, to attract students in our coaching. So I just realized that in every school there are only 5% student who wants to pursue law, and 95% are like either they are directionless, or they want to pursue the field of India, whether it's engineering or the medical line. So that's what was the case in during my time. Okay, it was around 9 years ago when I was in school. So that time also, the interest was never, I mean, I never decided that I'll do law. Okay, it was never that I'll do law and I'll do well in this field or something. No, it was that it's just that from the start I had a very arguing nature. I used to ask questions a lot. And one more thing, when it comes to the presentation part, my teachers had noticed that I explain everything in a very simple manner. So they used to say that, you should do law, you should do law, you'll be a very good lawyer. And what actually motivated me to take up law, you may find it a bit funny. It was that I flunked in science, okay, and I was pretty bad in maths. Like, although my father and my brother are engineers, but I don't know where the gene went wrong, and I was like really pathetic in maths. And that was one more. And when I saw the law syllabus, so no maths everywhere. Then I saw the judicial service examination syllabus, no maths there also. Then I was like, wow, this is the field, which I should actually pursue. No maths. So actually, for an 18, 19-year-old fellow, that was the instigating factor. I would not say motivating factor, but the instigating factor. And then I was again advised also that, and with all those people who are very close to me, that no matter how much I try, I will not do well in science. Okay, they made me realize that do farming, but don't go for this. Don't pursue science, because not everyone is made for science, and it's not that if you don't do science, you won't be successful. It's not the case. Every field is successful. There is money in every field. So they are like, do some that thing. They were like, do that thing in which where your talent lies, and your talent is in your argument. Your talent is in your interpretation. Your talent is in your presentation. Okay, so choose this field. You will end up doing well. And they cited the example of like Three Idiots, and also as like, fine, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
So,
how it was.
yeah, definitely. So, what your journey tells us is that it gives us another lesson, which is that if you are good at interpretation, at analysis, at arguments, and at presentation part, then definitely, like, law is for you. The field is very huge and it welcomes you with open arms, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, it's amazing to hear this. So, like, my next question to you would be that I've seen you recently and I've followed you recently over LinkedIn and other platforms, and I've come across the fact that you are an avid researcher. You are very much interested in research. So, like, how did you decide to shift to research? Like, was this something that was pre-planned?
Again, no, again, it was in 2018. And it was that my mom was sick, and I needed an excuse, because I stay in Gurgaon and my college is in Pune, and she was diagnosed with TB. So I just needed an excuse to stay with my mom for 2 months. So I was like, what should I do? And my dad was like, no, you should go. Rahul will take care of her. It's not something very serious. The medicines are going on and she will recover. But I don't know, somewhere down the line, I was like, no, I want to stay here at least for 2 months. So I looked for internship opportunity, that if I convert my internship, if my internship is finalized, and I was in final year, so attendance was not a big issue. So my dad will allow me to stay at home for 2 more months in the name of internship. And that internship turned out was IPE leader, or we should say Losico. So there we were trained about writing blogs, and how we make modules for a course. Okay, so and not about writing blogs, how you actually do the research part for the law, for writing research paper, or whether it's writing blogs. So I owe this thing, like my research skills, to Losico, the team led by Mr. Abhiday Agarwal and Ramanuj Mukherjee. There also I found a friend, like brother like friend, Mr. Mayank. who's currently the final year student in Indraprasth University, and we made a good team, and he guided me a lot, both everyone, the entire team of Losico, and those 1.5 months actually changed my analytical skills, not the interpretation skills, the analytical skills, and it actually improved. Then I knew, and I realized that okay, for a given topic, how I have to elaborate and write a 6,000 word paper, and how I have to bring it down, simplify the language, same topic, and I have to write a 1,500 blocks, and how again I have to pick out the important parts, and I have to write only a 200 words answer for the exams. So it actually, the analysis part, the analytical skills, that was Law Seco which actually taught me. So again, I told you, nothing in my life was pre-planned. It just happened in this. Yeah.
Right. So you are a person who has gone with the flow, right? Like where the things took you, you went there, right? Great, great to hear that. So since you are into advocacy, into litigation, and then into research as well, my next question
I
is
don't do research for anyone, mind you. I do research for myself only,
right,
for
right.
my self development. It's not that I'm attached to any think tank or something. Instead, I borrow their research to improve my understanding about any particular subject. So
Right.
I do research for myself basically.
Right, right. I got your point. So, like, since you are into research and into advocacy as well, so, like, how do you find both the things to be different? Like, are they different, or is it like advocacy also involves a lot of research, and the research that is involved in advocacy, is it similar to the one that is academic research? And like, how are these two things different, or how
This
they
is
work?
one thing which actually most of the student ask, and this is one thing which the irony is most of the student ask, and this is one thing where majority of the student ignores this area. I'll tell you another thing now. When I went to the college in my 5th year, there was a guest lecturer who came in our college, and his name was Advocate J.C. Kama. He's a very renowned advocate in Supreme Court of India, and he said that in his lecture he said that Napoleon didn't won the Battle of Waterloo in the battlefield, but he lost the Battle of Waterloo in the fields of Manchester, where before the battle, the English soldier trained really hard. Similarly, advocates never win their cases in the courts by their arguments, but by their research done in their chambers. So research is something that an good advocate, see, research is something, you may find this a bit rude, okay, or a bit obnoxious for this online platform, but I'll tell you a harsh reality. Research is one thing which differentiate and advocate from what should I say, listener, a person who believes in listening the case, okay, a person who believes in opting for unfair means to decide a case, and ultimately those listeners end up losing their reputation or end up creating havocs for their client, because research is the bread and butter for any advocate. For example, I'll give you two examples. One of the case, and it is from my personal experience, and then I will differentiate that how a research is used at the trial stage, how research is used at the high court and the Supreme Court stage, and the same research, how and what is the purpose of the research in the think tank, or about just like Vidhi Central Policy or any other think tank like Law Seco, I would say. See, the difference is like this. There was a client who changed his advocate and who had approached me. It was a check dishonor case. Okay. Now, the issue was that the check was filed in a court which didn't have the territorial jurisdiction. Okay. The case was filed in the wrong court. Let's say in the layman language, it was filed in a wrong court. Means that court didn't have the territorial. That judge was, the judge has the authority to try the case, but that judge didn't have the territorial jurisdiction to try that matter. Now we had to transfer the case, or what actually happened, that that's where because even I was inexperienced and something happened. It was that I went to the court and I said because now we cannot change whatever it's written in the, because in the petition, because in a criminal case we cannot change our stand. It will violate the principle of estoppel. Okay, so what actually happened, that I thought that instead of transferring directly, and I felt that the judge was a bit friendly, so I said, my lordship, I want to withdraw the case with the liberty to file a fresh matter, because there are some changes which I need to do, and not even the first, and the first day of hearing was not even has not even taken place. Case was just filed, and the first day of hearing was appointed on this particular day. But due to some reason, the client has changed the advocate, because he didn't find this the attitude of the advocate proper or up to his expectations. So he had approached me through my actually he was my father's friend. So he approached me and was like, I was like, because by that time I had a substantial experience for dealing the check dishonor cases, so I accepted the case. So what I thought, I said that, my lord, I need the liberty to withdraw the matter, to file with the liberty. I need to withdraw the matter with the liberty to file a fresh case. So I thought that yes, then I will file a fresh case and it will be good. The judge said, I have sent the summons. Now I cannot allow you to withdraw the case and file a fresh matter. And due to that, I actually, and I there I lost my cool, and I was like, why, my lordship? Uh, there has to be a provision. It's your discretion. You are a judge. I was like, fine. And judge was like, fine. Tell me where it is written that after sending the summon, I said, go do the research. I give you 1 week time. Go do the research and tell me where it's written that once the judge sends the summon, he can allow the complainant to withdraw the matter. Either you want to withdraw, you withdraw. The case is closed. Okay, then don't file it again. Then it becomes the civil case because the limitation period has expired. Okay, or else tell me at what ground a judge has the power. I will allow you. Please enlighten me. And I was furious and I said, my lordship, why 1 week? Why waste your time? Give me 3 days. And I was like, fine, I'll go and do the research and tell him. And when I did the research, I didn't find anything. And now I got scared that what should we do? Then I called a few of my senior who were judicial officers. Okay, that, and I said, Bhaiya, can we do it? Are we allowed to? He's like, let me check. And he's like, I don't find anything. And then I called up one of the retired judge that, sir, please help me out. I'm gone now. And he's like, no, the judge didn't had, and there is no provision in the law. And I was like, wow. And this is where the research helps. Then I decided that now what should I do? I'm stuck. I have taken the fees. Now my reputation is also at stake. And I had created a reputation at, yes, I'm a researcher. Yeah, researcher. What should I do then? Then I researched and then I realized, and I found a judgment, and it actually helped me out. And then the strategy was transfer the case and amend your, although amendment of criminal case is nowhere mentioned in CRPC, the procedure in the procedural law in India, and the substantive law, which is the Indian Penal Code. But there were 3 judgments which says that a judge can allow to amend the criminal case, provided that the such amendment does not, what, first, it does not change the nature of the case, and it does not cause any prejudice to either of the party. Okay, if that is the case, then he can allow, and that's where it opened my door. Very next day, I went to the court, to the CGM court, the chief judicial magistrate, the one judge in the hierarchy above the judicial magistrate first class, and for the transfer of petition. Transfer done, and then I went for the amendment. That's where I argued, and I successfully, I successfully got my criminal complaint amended. That the first thing research helped, and that is how the research helped the advocates. Otherwise, if I would have just gone with the flow that no, only the licensing thing works, take the fees, go to the case, do the argument. If not, then try to bribe them or try to influence them. these things don't work. You may get success one or twice. I'm telling about a practical scenario. But if you want to grow, you have to research. Another case, and it actually happened with me, that I had sent a legal notice. Now, what actually happened that I calculated the period of legal notice of 15 days wrongly. Means I sent the legal notice today, and I calculated the legal notice from the date of sending the legal notice. And I calculated, okay, 15 days over, now I'll go and file the case. The first day of hearing, the judge dismissed the case and said, you count 15 days period the moment accused receives the legal notice. Your case is premature. And he gave a judgment that in this judgment, court held that premature filing case has to be don't dismiss, that dispose of. So he said, I am disposing of your case. You file the case within 1 month. Research, the power of research. That's where I learned a lesson of my life. Now come to the how the research helps in the higher judiciary. Now we have to first understand in the higher judiciary there are two sides. Original sides where you approach the court directly either by the way of writs or by the way of PIL, or you go by the way of appeal. So that's the appellate side, appellate jurisdiction we can say. So we can safely say that the case is always fought at the trial level. So the trial level done, and when it goes to the either at the original side or at the appellate side, it is always the case that when a substantial question of law arises, like in Subramaniam Swami's case, right to reputation, it was analyzed that whether right to reputation is a fundamental right or not. Question of law. So that is where, and what will help you? Will your family background help you? Will your licensing help you? No, your research skills. And now come to how the research skills helps the think tank. They do the real research work, which actually benefits the litigants. They analyze first what is the law, what is the lacuna in the law, and what are the areas which needs improvement, and then they collect the data. Okay, and then they collect the data, and then they try to find out a solution, and they give a very practical solution that like I would say the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of India, the law, it's a very important law. It was the Vidhi Center of Legal Policy who was the advisor of Government of India while drafting this law. Similarly, when Law Commission of India conducts its researches, they rely on these such think tanks to collect the authentic data on which they can do their research work. So we can say that the research work done by the think tank is more of a theory. I will not say theoretical. No, it is more for academic purpose, and research done in the court, in the litigation or in the law firms. Okay, it is at one side it's for the academic purpose to gain knowledge, to understand, and at the other side, at the law firm or in the litigation, the research part is for the application purpose, that what can be applied. So this is the research work, and for that you have to first learn the research, whether you want to go to the academic sites or you want to go to the litigation side or the law firm side. So I just hope now this answers your question, that how research helps and what is the value of research and how the research is used.
Right, right. I think what you want to say is that the research that is done in think tanks and the academic research is actually applied and used in practical life in the field of advocacy by advocates, right? I think this is what it sums up to. Right.
Yep.
Okay, okay. So you pointed out some lacunas in law, some lacunas in the system, and obviously the very obvious bribing and everything, licensing of cases and such
And these
malpractices.
things are universal. These
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are
these are
universal.
obviously universal, but these things somewhere demotivate the freshers who are to become first generation lawyers. So in the field of
Even I'm a
advocacy,
first generation advocate.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I know you are a first generation advocate, but I don't know why that everybody who who is to become a first generation advocate, who is first in the entire family line to come to this
Same,
field of advocacy.
same.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So everybody who is first in line to come to this field of advocacy, they somewhere have this feeling of, this doubt within themselves that will they be successful? Can they do it? Because obviously, like family hierarchy and family name is a big deal
The
in
current
our
Chief
field.
Justice of India
Yeah,
is the
he's
first
a first
generation
generation
advocate.
lawyer, right? But then I think when it comes to practicality, obviously, I mean, exceptions are there, but then
See,
if it
I'll
comes
tell
to,
you something. Then one should not pursue anything. Then one should simply just give up and sit at home.
right, right. I mean, that's
And
obviously
see,
always a possibility.
yeah, obviously, and that's the easiest way. But the thing is, if we see the word nepotism, it's present everywhere. You go to the business field, then one should not do the business also. You go to any field, medical field, business field, legal field, entertainment industry, everywhere it's nepotism. So what should we do? That should one just give up everything and sit at home? No, you have to fight, you have to strive, and you have to go and struggle to make your name. And once it's done, and see, these things takes time, and you have to accept this fact.
Right.
There's no other answer. You have to accept this fact, and you have to move on. There's no excuse and there is no explanation. It is a fact. 2 plus 2 is 4. You cannot change it. Similarly, this is a fact. Okay. And it's, in the movie Dark Knight Rises, there was a dialogue. Adversity makes a man, man or something was like this. I'm not able to recollect the exactly. So adversity makes the real person you are. So it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But then the thing is that even if somebody tries to go ahead and pursue advocacy, they face the problem of financial management because they do
Yes,
not
they
really
do.
earn a
They
lot
do.
during their initial phases. So, can you suggest some tips to manage
Well,
themselves?
I would say, first let us identify why it's the case. It's the case why because the Bar Council of India is not doing enough for the fresh advocates. They should be mandatorily providing them the training part about the practical aspect. And this is what I keep on saying in my other channels also. Okay, so that's where the Bar Council of India needs to work upon. Second, I would say to the young advocates that focus more on your research part. If possible, if your financial background allows, a bit, to an extent, go for the masters in India and go for the UGC net and other such relevant exams, so that along with the practice, if you get an option to teach, which I'm also doing, because yes, thankfully I don't say that I belong to a very rich family, but yes, we are doing well. We are doing well. Okay, as of now we had all share of struggle when I came out of my law school. My father business collapsed actually, but within 7 8 months, 1 year, we were able to recover it. And by that time I had finished my LLM degree also with a distinction. So it's just that you have to keep going. So one is this option. Second is that if after passing out, please go for research associate positions like NCLT research associate position in NCLT, when you will work for and one entire year under a judge and you'll see the corporate litigation, it will actually helps you out. Okay, then you will have an edge over a person who is just doing an internship or who is just working in a firm, because you know the procedure, how the case is filed, how the case has been argued. Similarly, go for the research position in the High Court and the Supreme Courts. Research position offered by various think tanks. See, because that's where, apart from giving you some financial relief, they help you in making your network also. And from the start of the final year, if you don't wish to go for the judiciary, okay, then, and if you want to enter the field, especially in the litigation, then focus more on your procedural laws. And for that, be thorough with the IPC and Indian Evidence Act, CRPC and CRPC. and CPC. Be thorough with it, and please learn drafting before passing out. Don't wait to learn drafting after passing out. Trust me, post law school life is really, really tough. So that's what I would advise, that because once you're done with the drafting, so when you join someone's chamber, so that's where you don't start with zero, but you start from 20. And within 1 year, 6 months, within 1 year, year and a half, you are able to grasp enough, because that's where, because when you are done with the drafting part, the research and drafting both, see, because what the student do, that they want to learn drafting, and I keep telling in my course that important is first the knowledge, research, and then drafting. What will you draft if you don't have any knowledge? What will you draft? What will you draft? You don't know how to do the research. So it is always knowledge, research, and drafting comes at the end. Because what is the drafting? Drafting is the language of the research and your knowledge. That's it. So by the time you pass out, be thorough with all these things, because that's where when you start your juniorship, you will not start with zero, and you will end up impressing your senior, and you'll start end up making the colleague. So by in your second and third year of litigation, you will be having a decent amount of income to at least pay your bills. So you have to, you have to be very smart with this part. And that's what I would say, that if you want to practice, go with the proper tactics, not a strategy. Strategy, it just creates tragedy. Okay, go with the tactics, that yes, I'm done with this part, now I have to learn this thing. And you can explore a lot of other options also, like IPR field. It's a very upcoming field. Part is that now everything is cyber. Okay, anything which is related to computer is now cyber. So IPR field, taxation field, these two fields, you can you can especially focus just after your law school also. But still I would say that even switching for the tax practice also, please give at least 6-7 months to the trial court. And when, either if you don't wish to go into the taxation field, my basic advice will be that at least give 2 years to the district court. Only then. And if you feel like, no, I have to, and if your luck favors you, and in your hometown or in your place of residence the high court is there, then spend 2 years at least in the district court, and go to the high court and start practicing in the original side of the high court. Because that's where you know now that now how the case is filed, how the client approach, and what kind of case I have to work upon. So that's where you can, it will create a lot of source of opportunities. First, go for the opportunities, go for learning. In litigation, don't think about money for at least, I will not say 7-8 years. Sorry, it's practically impossible for a person to be deprived of from a basic source of income from 7 years. No, he cannot survive. He has a family to look after. He has his own personal life. Okay, so I would say that at least for 3 years, instead of I would say focusing more on money. And there is nothing called learning. Okay, learning is done till the end of your life. So I would say that for 3 years, for initial 3 years, focus more on your networking part, not on the learning part, because learning will continue till the end of your life. Okay, focus more on your networking for first 3 years of your life. And that's what I'm been doing. And touch wood, by the grace of God, by my blessing of my parents, things are going in my favor, or to an extent, I would say. It's they're going, and I'm quite happy with the things are going. And I have to just go with the flow, and I have to just keep working hard. That's it. That's what I know. And that's where, I don't keep this thing to come over my head that, okay, I have these many followers. Nothing. I just take it. I just see, okay, I have now 16,000 followers. Fine. That does not define me, because there was a person who didn't I'm the same Rahul Tiwari who didn't had any single followers. So the followers and all these things should not, the number of webinars and these the attentions, this all these does not define me. So I don't let all these things bothers me also. So yes, a webinar is done, people have appreciated, fine, done and dusted, forget it. So that is how I go.
Right, right. So amazing to know that you're so much content with your life and happy with it. So what you wanted to say was basically that if one has to pursue law, then definitely they need to be patient and they need to basically wait for like 2 to 3 years and learn things, learn some skills that are necessary for advocacy, for litigation, learn research and properly plan what skill to learn at which stage, and then they'll be successful
Exactly.
in
Network
their.
and upgrade, I would say. Network and upgrade means you should be a better person in every 6 months.
Right. So it's about planning and upgrading yourself, like learning some or the other new skill. Keep learning some or the other new skill required for advocacy.
Yeah.
Great to hear. You also talked about internship opportunities, like they are also a learning platform for fresh candidates who wish to go into advocacy.
The
So,
thing is, internship now has become a scams in India, especially in the online internship. So I advise everyone that if you're getting physical internship, then go. Otherwise, just sit at home and study. Okay, just sit at home and study, because you don't learn anything in this. At least most of them, most of the time, in 80% of the internship I've seen, they are just bogus. I should use this word. So, and if you get a chance, visit your district court every day, even if you have to go for 1 hour. Go meet people, try to understand your senior, how is dealing with this cases or this lockdown period, because the same you have to deal with it now after a few years. So you have to be mentally prepared. So all these things, I would say that if you get a physical internship, well and good. Otherwise, keep learning, keep researching, because drafting is like training. You can learn these things in 3 4 months, but learning art of reading bare acts, art of researching, it takes at least years, at least 1.5 year. So focus more on that. That's why I clearly say, the I don't want to give the tried and tested answer. Oh, internships are really good. It's good for your networking. You do internship for to impress your senior. You do internship for your networking. Nothing helps unless, and what actually helps is your knowledge and your research skills. Knowledge, why research skills? Because that's the research skills actually improves your presentation part. So knowledge and the research skills, please. So that's why I keep advising everyone that, yeah, just focus on these things. That's it, nothing else. The rest are just bogus. And that's what I keep requesting students, yeah, don't apply for internship under me. You won't learn anything. Just open the book and start reading. And not even reading. And that's why I say that's a big lie told to the law students, that read a lot of books. It's the biggest lie, especially to the Indian law students. I don't know about, like, you are pursuing your law from UK. At least in India, I keep saying this to everyone, that read a lot of bare acts. Learn how to read bare acts. And then once you are done with the bare act, once you know how, yeah, when once you, and you know how you interpret the bare act, how you understand the technicalities of the bare act, then open the books and read a lot then. Okay, so that's what I keep advising them. All these things are really, it's of no use. Yeah.
Right, right. I understand where that's coming from because on LinkedIn we see a hue and cry about internships, so
Yeah, and
especially during
one
summer break and winter
yeah
breaks.
and internship opportunities. And I don't know from where. I mean, maybe few of my students must have given the number. I get call like 10 15 calls every day. Sir, I want to do internship. And I was like, brother, my reality is I'm still a struggling advocate, a first generation struggling advocate who teaches at a lot of places and to a lot of people. That's my identity. And I need to focus on myself first. Maybe after like 4 years or 5 years, when I'll have my own chamber, my own car, maybe at that place I can decide that, okay, now let's invite 5 interns and I'll teach them. But as of now, yes, I have 7 students which are to whom I'm selected from my courses, and I train them. I don't say, I don't take them as my interns. No, I take them as my trainees, research trainee. I teach them about research. And as of now, my biggest like success is that one of my student won the best presenter award in an international conference. One of okay, and one of my student has just applied in the Lok Sabha for the internship. And one of my students just got job under an advocate after learning drafting from me. So these are few, at least I would say, the initial success, I would say, from my courses. So that's why I can say that yes, after like 1,000 students who have studied, at least I can identify that okay, these three have achieved something which we I can show off that, yeah, I can show that yes, my students have achieved these things, and thankfully they actually, I was lucky to train them in the right way. That's it. So that's what I call this, nothing else.
Indeed, indeed, there are moments of proud for a teacher, especially the happiness that can clearly be seen. And I mean, about internships, whatever you said, that they are completely useless and bogus and a scam in India. So I can understand and I can relate to where that's coming from. I mean, being a law student, even I have faced this a lot, that do internship, don't sit idle at home when you have
No,
summer
no, no.
vacations, when
I
you have,
never said. I never said a citadel.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
the courts are closed. The firms are not
right,
taking
right.
interns. Then what will you do? You will end up being exploited.
Yeah,
Nothing else.
yeah, yeah. Because those
So
are unpaid and
yeah, no, it's not about being unpaid. Also, if you learn a skill from your senior, okay. If you learn something new, either you get a payment for your work, or you learn something, some skills. So if you get a payment, you can use this payment for once, or you can invest that money. And how much payment you will get, that's merge amount. But if you learn a skill, you will earn from that skill throughout your life.
right, right. I can understand about all the hue and cry on LinkedIn about
Yeah, it's
lack of
nothing.
internships and everything.
Right, so don't do internships. No, it's a lockdown period, it's an emergency period. Sit home and finish off all those 4 5 important subjects. Read
Definitely,
about arbitration. Read about latest development in the arbitration, in the electronic evidence. Read about it. Improve your knowledge.
definitely. We need to tell our
And that is
audience
how,
that
yes, yes,
you
and
have to
that is
work on
how,
improving your knowledge.
yes, and that is how I said that go with the flow, and that's how I have went with the flow. That I have decided that yes, at this moment I won't go for the tried and tested methods. This moment wants me to learn research, forget everything, I'll learn research. This moment wants me to teach, because I feel I can improve as a teacher, then I'll teach. So this is how you go. You decide what is best for you at that particular time, obviously with a vision of future. Okay, because that's what you decide, the context part. You have a vision for the future, and that's where with that context you decide what is best for you at that present moment. But not that okay, now I'm in third year, I should have done at least 4 internships, I
Right.
should have done at least 2 moods. Nothing else, please. Every individual is different, and it's like the God has given me 24 hours, God has given you 24 hours, God has given Bill Gates 24 hours, but all three of our life are very different, na? So when we do things, everything like everything which is different in your life, so why do you have to copy it? Okay, yeah. So
Right.
that's what I will.
So, to all the freshers, you have to be very, very fluid and you have to go with the flow. Don't be rigid. Try to adapt as much as possible to the circumstances. As per the situation, try to go. So, Advocate Tiwari, I would like to have some concluding remarks from your side
On what?
for freshers, for fresh
On
people who are
fresh
graduating.
graduating people, guys, study, research, draft, not the other way around. Okay, and focus more on networking. I will not use the word learning. Focus more on networking. Okay, because lawyer is what, it's a people's person, like so focus more on networking. The bigger a network you have, the more revenue, the money will automatically come. So focus more on the networking part and be patient. Things will go in your favor sooner or later. Okay.
Right. So, thank you, Advocate Rahul Tiwari. It was
Yeah.
great to have you with me here on this conversation today. So that's about this conversation. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you.